Sword of omens, give me sight beyond sight.
Yo, yo, what's up, family? Mad Chiller FPV here, bringing you another edition of Between Two Props. Today, our stream is all things KISS. We're very excited to have two special guests, massive community contributors to the KISS community, Alexander Fedorov and Alexander Wolf. Today's shout-outs are for BQE Multi-Rotors, Impulse RC, KISS, Fat Straps, the UFDA Crew, Project Zen FPV, FPV Builders, Quad Mods, and of course, the Goons and Goonies Worldwide, Emu Flight, Oh Gravy Leg, and of course, our families. Without them, we couldn't do this. Thank you guys, everyone, for your support. I'm going to take you over to the Goons.
Yeah, boys. Artie Adler, Artemis Prime here for you. Just want to welcome the Alexes to the stream. We got a great episode today. Kind of dive into a little bit of what makes KISS and the Wolf PDB and OSD what it is. And so just wanted to welcome those guys here today. If you guys can, Alex Fedorov, you give us a little bio, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi guys. Well, some more people know me like Fedor Commander or guy with a red cat on the Facebook and all social medias. That's iconic. Cat is still alive, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Like 14 years. But I happen to be one of the contributors to the KISS firmware since 3 years ago, I presume. Well, I did quite a lot of things to make KISS ecosystem as it is now. All the Lua scripts around, radio integration, well, you name it. So basically what you people like it, well, there's a big chance I was coding it one day. Well, I'm doing KISS for 3 years. Well, I started to use KISS at the moment it was released. Well, I was looking for something new. Now, before that, I did tiny jobs on Betaflight. So, well, I can code. I like microcontrollers. I think I can fly, but it's not true.
I think we all
yeah, no doubt.
And well, that's what happened to me. I bought KISS at version 101. And I started to fly it, and I had a big smile on my face when I landed. Well, unfortunately, a few lipos were discharged to like 0 volts because it was fun to fly, actually.
Exactly.
So then what happened, I started to do kind of black box logger outside of the KISS. I didn't have access to the source code at that time. And I just was logging everything that goes through OSD, and that was not really good enough. And one guy came to me and said, well, if you want, you can have access to the secret source. Well, who doesn't want to have that? Well, I'm coder.
Right.
I'm excited, and well, you do the math.
Excellent.
And that guy was Norbert Mashinek. That's a big shout to this guy. He really pulled me in the KISS development, and a lot of things I did actually was initiated by him. Like once I saw him in Amsterdam Arena during some competition. And he said, you know, that would be really cool if your quad just can do upside down when it falls down. Like, okay, like day later, you got turtle mode. So that's how it works.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, I was a little bit away from KISS development for multiple reasons for a year. But last August, Felix buzzed me, said, you know, can you please do TBS Smart Audio implementation, the new one? They're like, okay. Well, I like the guy. He's his friend. So I just did that, and I got this freaking fever again.
Yeah.
yeah, then I start to fly more because I didn't fly for a while, and I want to fly. And some things I didn't like, then I start coding, changing it for myself. Well, pretty much what I doing it for myself, and I'm
Absolutely.
very
That's
happy
awesome.
you guys have any benefits of that.
Major benefits. We
Well,
can't thank you enough
yeah,
for all the work you do on that.
well, I started to implement GPS. I want to make it, to have return to home one day, because I really like what Betafly did, but unfortunately it needs to be code from scratch, so we cannot use the third-party code or GPL code, so it's wrong. Uh, that's one thing I had. Then I started to change crossfire stuff. So well, that's why 40i is also more responsive, because I rewrote all crossfire code inside. So there's some nifty things that only KISS has at the moment. No one controller can do that yet. Well, then
Wow.
DJI came to the scene like a few months back, and well, I never planned to actually buy HD because, well, it's quite pricey, and people start to nag. You know, we need DJI, we need HD, and it doesn't work. And so I said, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm not planning to buy one. It's just
Yeah, to be in that.
quite expensive. And just one guy, I really appreciate the guy. He's a very nice supporter at the moment. He just bought me a set. So he said, well, you have something to develop on. Oh, I'm
Absolutely.
just developing DJI support now. Actually, it is better than Betaflight at the moment. So I have freaking return to home arrow, the home pointer, and
Nice.
it's actually turning and
Just
pointing home.
going
So
the right direction. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, as far as I know, Betaflight still cannot do that yet, and iFlight is suffering, well, from other reasons.
Yeah, sure.
So basically, what I do now, but this time I did it a bit differently because, well, time is valuable, and I run two jobs, and KISS is still a hobby. So I opened. Well, actually, I was forced by community to open Patreon account. Seriously, I was forced, and yeah, now I'm putting everything I have new to my Patreon. And so when
Absolutely.
it's some people can use it, the real supporters can have early access to the stuff.
Wow.
And
That's awesome. We will make sure that we put those links for his Patreon and
I
things like that in the description. For
It's
you.
it is
already
there.
there.
It is in description. Thank
Oh,
you.
well, look at that.
Already
Yeah,
Ahead
there.
of the
and-
game.
but
My man.
the idea is when it's mature, and when Flyduino or Felix decides to push the new version, it will be included in official. So it will be available for everyone once it's official. But until then, it's kind of for real supporters. I really appreciate
Excellent.
their support.
And Alex,
Uh,
where are you from?
I'm originally from Russia,
Uh-huh.
and I'm emigrated to Holland about 20 years ago, I think in 2000.
Which part of Russia?
Oh, come on, you don't know that part.
I've been there.
But you probably might know.
Yeah.
But the city is my home city called Tambov.
Tambov?
There's a lot of similarity. Listen to that. My city mascot is Wolf,
Nice.
and my cousin last name is Wolf, and he is also Alexander. So my cousin is Alexander Wolf.
Yeah.
But it is
God
not.
damn.
It's not the same guy. So
And that's a good segue into the next guest that we have is Alexander Wolf, who's kind of behind the secret juice of having that great OSD on KISS finally. And if you can, Alex, give us a little bio. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Artie. Well, I originally started with KISS late 2016, so I was a little late to the game there. But yeah, one of my buddies, my flying buddies, he's like, I was killing batteries, because before I was just flying by a beeper with voltage, old school.
Yeah.
And he's like, why you have OSD? So I'm like, okay, let's look into that. So I looked into the KISS OSD and put it on there. And then, I saw it's open source, or it's kind of like free. I open it up, and from what I've learned to do, I'm a computer scientist by profession, open it up, saw some C code, like, hey, I'm right at home here, and
Yeah.
started programming. And ever since then, I've got the programming bug for OSDs, and then started KISS OSD 2.0, or then I got in contact with Impulse RC. First version I did was for the Helix VTX, which also has OSD on it.
Yeah.
So that's how initially I got in contact with Sean, and then he made the hardware for the steel PDB. So I was very lucky that he chose my firmware for it. And after
And
that,
that was revolutionary for me. In
Yeah.
I'd say we were lucky.
It solidified
Lucky?
the fact that, hey, I can
We
do.
were
I
the
can get
lucky
it.
ones.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I was lucky to
Right?
get that, because it was the only thing that I missed from Betaflight, was having that OSD and having something that was easy to set up without having to worry with the minimalist OSD and all that crap. So I just can't thank you enough for that. It really made my experience so much better.
Oh God,
Killed a whole lot less batteries also.
minimum OSD is a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a smart guy. I'm not a computer programmer or anything like that. I just repair guitars for a living. So anything too difficult just goes over my head, and I won't stick with it. But it certainly made the difference. It was great stuff. We'll keep going. I'm sorry.
No problem. Well, that's how basically the history went through. And then I actually had the opportunity through work to come to Brisbane. And then, we sort of like through chatting a little bit back and forth, Sean and I, or Sean had the idea of the Wolf PDB. Wasn't a name exactly, but basically what the issue was on the old 8-bit chip that was on those minimum OSDs and also on the steel PDB, I ran out of space. It was almost space to add features, or you had to flash a separate config tool. It was annoying, and adding a GUI to it, due to a lack of flash space, you were basically stuck there. So we decided to kind of like take the code and pull it up to a 32-bit OSD, which is what the Wolf PDBs are, or the Apex OSD, and that is Impulse OSD. So Impulse OSD is sort of like an OSD platform that you'll see it in current products and also new products that will come out from Impulse RC.
So you don't have anything to do with the hardware. You're just simply the firmware side.
That's all Sean Blakemore is the guy that designed the Apex frame.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, you can't see it in the video there, but everybody knows how the Apex looks like. He designed the Wolf PDB hardware, the Steel PDB hardware, the Apex OSD hardware. Sean is the mastermind, the hardware designer behind all of it. I do a lot of, or pretty much 99% of the firmware code is made by me. Sean actually did a lot of the GUI code. We collaborated in that project together. I am not a full-time employee of Impulse RC. I'm like a freelance employee. I have a regular full-time job, so I'm doing this at, a lot of the stuff I do at nights, when I'm coming back from work, or on the weekends when it's like a rainy day or so, I start programming in the afternoon. I'm like, okay, I could use this or that feature. And add that in there, or something that I get from the FPV community that they basically requested that they want me to put in there. So that's basically it. I'm just like a guy like you guys all on here. I'm just a regular FPV guy that likes programming.
Absolutely, and that's awesome. And I don't think people give you guys enough credit for really being the kind of source of how we're able to get in the air and make us be able to fly instead of just constantly having to tune or change settings to get it to fly right. So we just really appreciate it to you, that you guys kind of do all this. And it's not for money. I don't know, Alex Wolf, do you have Patreon or anything where people can contribute?
No, look, there's no need for that, because I get a small cut, from the hardware that's being sold. That's an agreement between Sean and me. And if you want to support me, basically, just keep on buying
Buying
both
your parts,
PDBs,
Gotcha.
Apexes and whatnot, you know.
Works.
So then you're supporting me with that. But that's why I have a different setup than Alex Fedorov. So there's no need for me to set up a Patreon or anything, you know, or support me in any kind of way. And look, it's not that I'm making a lot of money of this, you know. This is if I would count up the amount of hours, you know, that I've worked on this, I would have made way more money per hour working at McDonald's.
Absolutely.
That's not what this
It's a
is
passion
about,
project.
You know? It's,
Exactly.
yeah, it's about the fun, you know. I have a lot
Absolutely.
of fun doing this, and I just like that, or I hope that you guys like it too. So that's basically the biggest benefit of it all.
Go to Mr. Wolf's his YouTube and smash that subscribe button. Nothing else.
Absolutely.
There's nothing on there. It's pretty boring. And the spot that I used to fly, they just you can see it actually twice on there. They just mowed all the trees down. So
Oh no.
yeah, I
man.
sat there crying the other day, you know. So I gotta find it, and it's pretty hard to find spots where I am. So it's not easy.
Well,
to fly
I mean,
here.
come down to Florida. We can fly year round. You see, there are spots
know.
always.
Yeah.
It's always warm.
No need to rub it in, brother. It's 77 there and 40 in Memphis.
I'm just letting you know. It's 81 now. The sun came out a little.
Well, look, guys, I think we all have some questions. I think we're going to start with some questions that we have here, and then we'll try to move on to some chat Q&A stuff. But my boy Willie is
Hey, what's
also
going
a
Deaf beard.
Deaf Beard in the house. We also got Austin, who also rock KISS hardware and firmwares. And
Austin's my
certainly
favorite
finds some stuff.
pilot.
Yeah.
Austin's his
thank
favorite
you.
pilot. Do we need to give y'all a minute? A little privacy?
Yeah. No.
Hashtag love
I mean,
affair.
I gotta join, and I have to say, so Chad and I, came from the Helio days in that team, right? So I got into a certain type of feel, if you will, in a quad, and I was happy to get away from the long, arduous tuning that I was dealing with my Betaflight platforms, and I had a lot less with it with Helio. We all know what happened there. Sad sigh, move on. Around that time, I met Austin for the first time. We had kind of been going back and forth on Facebook, and he had a KISS platform, and I watched it more specifically. I heard it. And there was something about that sound, something about riding along. I'm like, I want to check that out. So that's cheers to you, Austin, for that. So again, I had a couple of discussion points I wanted to bring up to the Alexes. I think this is going to be somewhat organic. So Mr. Fedorov, we'll start with you. You've talked to us about your entry, when you got involved with KISS, when you got involved with working on the firmware. I like the part about when you said you had a big smile on your face and you were just killing batteries, right? I think that's it in a nutshell. I think that describes KISS. If any of you out there, if you've never flown it, if you've been wondering what it's like, that's what it's like. You smile like a Cheshire cat and you destroy your batteries if you don't pay attention.
Absolutely.
Because it's just that much fun that the craft just does exactly what you tell it to the point that it surprises you. You're like, wait, it actually did that. So Alex, talk to us about version 40 a little bit. That's the latest one that's been out there. Like you said, you had some builds you were working on. I know both Austin and I both were flying 40i. We really enjoyed that. And then 40O became the official release, right? High five. So tell us something about that. Tell us some of the things you worked on. Tell us whether or not you worked on it or not, what are some of the things that you think sets 40 apart? And maybe why, in your opinion, is because I think version 40 is a great time if someone hasn't flown KISS lately, if they're not really sure in this world of RPM filtering, in this world of all these other feed forwards and this, that, and the other setting, that KISS is still keeping it simple. And I think V40 is such a great time that I'd say requires no tuning. In your words, just use the PIDs, set the PIDs at default and go fly. And that's so true with this one. So tell us a little bit about it and your perspective on it. What do you like about it? What stands out?
Well, 40i, I was busy with it for like a month, I think. There are some things changed. Well, I restructured a lot of code to make it more faster or more responsive. So I find few things that were in the code since day one, but they are not really relevant, like code that manage PWM receivers. So I just stripped it down to make it more direct. So you got a bit more resolution on the sticks. It's not really, like Steely said, from 1000 to 2000, so you got well, more resolution. Well,
Right.
it doesn't work this way, but the reaction on the tiny changes in the stick now are more well visible. So you feel this improvement. I don't know. Maybe it's just a placebo, but most of the top pilots, who the really crazy guys, I couldn't tell the difference. For me, it was good, and it just became a bit better. But
Sure.
lots of top pilots I asked to test the new code. They said it's way better. Well, they know what they're doing. They like to fly. They can do that, and well, they're trustworthy. So I thought I
Oh,
will keep it.
I would agree. I'd say for me, I mean, placebo and subjectiveness are a big thing in our hobby, right? But I noticed for me, I ended up adjusting the set point weight to make it even more direct because of the change in the feel. So I actually went in and made a change, not to my PIDs or not to my rates or anything like that. Well, no, my rates change on a different radio, but I went in and changed my set point a little bit because I could feel the difference. And it's even more direct now
Yes.
to me than it was before. Austin, what do you think on that? I mean, you and I have played with the set point a little bit. We've talked about the different settings we use. What do you think about affording that directness?
I mean, it's like, as far as like the set point goes, I'm pretty comfortable at any number. I've tried it at 100, tried all the way down to like 80. I enjoy it, but going from like the previous firmware to 40 was like going from Betaflight to KISS. It was like I went to
Again.
KISS again.
Yeah,
I was like,
again.
I'm in a happy place right now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Very
absolutely.
good to
I
hear
have to
that.
agree that as well. Plus, just tuning it was like took me 15 minutes in one.
Oh, I
day.
harassed Artie. I'm like, Artie, now just go put that.
Oh,
Shit.
you put out that video
Go
where
get
you
that
did
shit.
that stop and just started like flipping
That was
180 and
very
kept
nice.
going.
Hey,
And
Chad,
it was
can you play
sounded
that
so
short little
beautiful. I was
clip?
like, I have to have
Look at Chad. He's not even paying attention to us.
Sorry, I'm doing 10 things. What?
Play that little short KISS clip. The oh my god KISS clip.
Oh my God, KISS clip. Stand by. Go.
And I don't know how good it comes through. This is no testament to flying or anything like that. This was just a quick little snap turn that I was just, again,
Super
default
impressive.
PIDs.
Here we go.
Yeah.
That thing just kind of stopped and kept going. It like paused in the air. It freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You almost didn't know what to do with the stick
Yeah.
right
Oh.
after it happened.
Yeah,
Technical
you're like, holy
difficulty.
shit, there it
Hold on a
went.
second.
That's a anti-gravity on.
Here we go. Here goes. Here goes.
No, I am idle up for the record,
That's bad.
and it just stops.
One more time.
Did you just say that's bad, Alex? You're not an idle up fan? I mean, see, all I was doing was turning around and that shit stopped in the air and took a break like it was in the Matrix. I'm like,
Yeah. Oh, it was a dead stop. It was
That's
clean,
probably
it was
one of the
clear.
greatest feelings when you're flying a quad,
Crispy,
just to
oh.
get it still in the air like that. It's
just
uncanny
Well,
feeling.
in a hard
It's just
in a hard turn like
Ah.
that, a hard stop like that.
it
was
gives you
just like,
it just gives
oh,
you
I'm
chills.
downloading that
I love
firmware
it
right now.
I love it.
oh yeah, it's yeah. I just couldn't. I was blown away. So I was pinging Fedorov. I'm like, look at this! Look, holy shit! It was anyway. So we've digressed too long on this one, but you know, to me, again, that was one of the big differences that I could feel, Alex, in it, and you know, Austin commented on that. So, what are some of the any other things that were highlights for you? I know that you're starting to get into the DJI. I see that you had reached out to the community with your interest. There was other interest, and you ended up with the DJI unit, right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't finish to tell the story about 40s, but
Oh,
okay.
so sorry. No,
please
carry on
finish
with-
the
no, there, we'd
40.
love to hear more about that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
well, you guys overexcited
All excited,
about your
exactly.
mid-air stop. Yeah, but I think you all guys flying Crossfire with KISS. I'm pretty sure you are.
Yes.
what I also did in 40, I just rewrote all the crossfire code to make it more. I find few things where it was lacking, like a few milliseconds here, a few milliseconds there. I put actually full-blown crossfire router to the code. It's
Oh, wow.
at the moment only TBS has it, but I wrote my own. And KISS can route TBS packets on different serial ports. It's
Nice.
yeah, it is nice, but I will tell you later why it is nice. But it's kind of cool, and that was also quite improvement. And I think when together they multiply each other, and you got a bit better flying performance.
Absolutely. I definitely recognize and again, maybe placebo, but it seems like the I term feels a bit different, especially in tuning. Like, is that anything that maybe something with wind up that you did anything with, or?
Anti-wind up works only until you start moving the sticks. So in the air, it doesn't work. I didn't change any of the pit controller code for that. But I didn't like this start assist or launch control, how it's called. I don't need it. And if I don't need it, I just throw it away. I didn't like the performance. I would do it a bit differently anyways. I just did anti-wind up, wind up field logic, so you can just turn on the quad and it will stay on the ground. That's what actually people ask to have. And for you guys who are using idle up, I really don't like the way it's set up, to be honest. It is very complex, it's unnecessary, and I don't know why the hell you're doing that, honestly.
Well, to be honest with you, because
Really?
Steele said it was good, and I've just done it ever since I started with KISS.
Steele has his own setup for like last 6 years. He never changed. He rarely changed anything. If
No,
it works,
I think this is a great discussion point, because a lot of people, I mean, obviously Still is the biggest name out there, and really has stayed true with KISS, and brings a lot of people to that community. As such, they're going to, I mean, like he did an Apex build video, right? Step by step, here's my tune, here's everything. And people are going to go out and try that. It's mostly all idle up. Alex, tell me, when I started, I was the same thing. What I like about idle up, this is my subjective feedback about it, is that I can bump into things, I can tap things, I can land on things, and the craft, it only moves by force or by me telling it to. It doesn't ever seem to try to correct itself or freak out if I bump something or anything like that.
That's my experience with
I
it.
thought about it.
this is quite wrong, actually.
Mode. So help me understand.
What's
clear
wrong?
that ignorance there.
It is wrong because you still have your bumps, and it is when you activate it, it has
still
no
air mode.
difference between you idle it up or you running air mode, which is another story. There's no air mode on KISS, but okay. What happens? You starting your quads, you arming it with pit controller not active, and then
Right.
you making switch that bumps your throttle to to go over mean command, and then pit controller kicks in. So only one thing I can think of, and this is why Steele is using it for. He likes to turn on the quad and then carry it in the hand.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Which-
and that's
which is-
certainly a
doesn't
benefit to
really-
check props and do things like that. It's
No,
super
well,
handy.
check props. It's what you can turn on the quad and it will spin props, so that's no problem. You can hold it in hand if you're not throttling it up, so it's fine. But for some reason he likes to have it this way. Okay, good for him. Mathematically speaking, there is tiny difference when you have idle up. Well, maybe nobody knows that. Maybe it's this information not obvious.
And that's what I think it is. Just either misinformation or disinformation.
Well, I can tell you what's the difference. So only difference, the second difference, when you do idle up, your throttle never goes to 2000. So you always
really?
stay on this level of
Like
1060 or something.
Off. Yeah.
Yeah, but what happens if you go to a TPA in KISS?
Mhm.
You don't activate particularly TPA; it's always
Right.
on.
Sure.
So, and you have this kind of V-shaped graph on TPA.
I see it in the
Yeah.
UI.
Yes, you see it in UI. You can move
the V
throttle.
shape.
You can move throttle, and you actually will see calculated speeds at that throttle point, etc. When you have air mode on, your throttle goes down to 1,000. So your TPA affects TPA attenuates more at zero throttle than your idle up. But this is so tiny difference, and this is it. So to keep it simple, I always just say, just put it to 1,000. It is default now. If you land, you disarm and you drop on the ground. You don't.
Right. Now, one other thing for me, one thing I did use a lot in beta flight was the pre-arm function. So I would actually use the stationary switch or the momentary switch on my radio
Right.
to hold it up and then arm and then let it go.
Yeah.
The idle up to me gives me something similar. Now, maybe there's another way in KISS I can solve that.
There's
maybe.
actually another way in your radio to do that, because that's how I have it set up. I have the pre-arm, and I have for years because I chewed my hand up all the time.
Try to do Tango.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but there is a trick on KISS what you can do to make it more safe. You can just bump throttle a bit, and if throttle is not at zero, it will never arm. So you can arm and then just do throttle down, then it will start spinning and you fly. That's some people using that. I have it sometimes when I know I'm bumping radio around. I just set throttle to the middle, and I know if I even bump this switch, it won't cut my head off.
Good to know.
That's a concern, right? And I think
that can be painful. Yeah.
No, but it will start spinning as soon as you dump throttle to zero.
Sorry?
As soon as you drop the throttle to zero, that's when the prop starts spinning?
Yes.
Okay. And is the PID controller is active at that point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, in 40i and 40O, you will not have a PID controller. Well, it will be active, but it won't wind up I-term. So if you kick the quad, it will react, but it won't go to the moon by itself.
Or what? Yeah.
Awesome.
But I think I put it on 5% of throttle, then it starts to actually accumulate I-term.
Well, and I'm going to admit to you right now, Alex, I'm going to put myself out there and fall on my sword to say that just yesterday, I screwed up a little bit with idle up, and I had a little throttle on. And of course, as soon as I idle up, you know what happens. I was already rocking and rolling. Let's go. There's
jumping off the ground.
There's the roof. Yeah, it was a 7-foot flight. And
well, I have bumps of the motors in my living room because I'm always testing at home, and I have this is black.
Sounds like my old house had a hole in the ceiling from.
I've got a camera imprint on my ceiling from the top of a mini quad.
and Spironet.
I killed the quad doing it, man. I was so bummed.
No, I think that was great KISS discussion for anyone that's interested in getting in, and the information that you get out there, and to Mr. Steele's to nod to him, he does say this is the way he's done things, this is why he likes it, and this is why it works for him. So it's good to get Alex's perspective on it and some of the inner workings around what's really going on. So that was fantastic. I think that was gold.
Well, I challenge you two guys to take off idle up and
I'll certainly
try it the way God intended.
There's one more thing with idle up I don't like. I had twice at my flights need to rearm in the air, and with just simple arming, it worked.
I will say, trying to do that with an idle up is a pain.
Exactly.
It's pretty complex.
It's a fumble.
To do.
It's like especially mine, because I also have pre-arm, so I have to pre-arm, flip the switch, then hit the idle up.
You don't really have that much time hanging up there.
No, you don't. Believe me, I'm going to test it. Lots of broken frames and cameras.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's great. Well, and to Steele's point, I think his is consistency more than anything.
Yeah,
he just tries to do as little changes as possible so that he's always flying at 80 to 90% at any point. in anything
I
he's
think-
doing. I certainly understand that. And
I just like
Try to
spinning
do
the
that.
motors without the gyro on.
I do too.
Also
Just like to check
troubleshooting.
props, takes cool pictures.
So you turn off the PID controller, Austin? At
yeah,
zero?
Yeah,
when you
that's
when you
what
have
I
idle
always
up, you're arming the motor, spinning the motors without the PID controller active.
Yeah, they're under min command basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why? Arm is arm. You arm, you fly.
Well, some people, especially Betaflight,
Keep
people,
it simple. Keep it simple.
like
Keep it
if you
stupid. Don't forget
you
the
got me.
stupid
I can't
part.
argue that one. That's the whole reason we're here, right?
absolutely.
Absolutely. That's why I'm
That-
here. Keep it
That
simple.
was great discussion. Let's see here. So as we just carry on, so we talked about 40. Anything else you want to mention in there, Alex?
No, nothing in particular. Well, I like GPS function. Since I introduced it, already 4 people find their quads in quite
Nice.
harsh environment.
That's great.
So I have record of 4 people, thanking me for that. It doesn't do any navigation yet, but it helps. So it
Yeah,
has
yeah,
full
yeah, the key
integration
too.
with Wolf. Me and Alex.
That's what I
agree.
love. I've got a 7-inch that I'm
Yes.
putting a setup on now that we can do that.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for. Speaking of Alex Wolf and that Wolf PDB and OSD.
I mean, this 7-inch, 7-inch like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just like that.
Hey, Alex, you need a test pilot for return to home?
He's got you.
Well, it can be one flight, but the wrong direction.
So, Alex Wolf, can you tell us some about the new firmware, the OSD, and kind of what new features and things to the GUI you guys have done with that?
So over Christmas time, I had some time off, and I basically added on something that was sort of missing because the new hardware that came out, so the Apex OSD and the Wolf V3, they do not have this old-fashioned OSD chip on it. It's called like a Max 7456, or some of the Betaflight boards are using this AB or AT version, so it's kind of like a clone.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically where it's a graphical OSD. So what the difference is on a graphical OSD or a character-based, or on a character OSD, you can only display characters, while on a graphical OSD, you can display pixels, so you can,
Sure.
That's how I was able to do the stick overlay, like, I mean, you see these videos where people are doing like a stick cam, and yeah, that's a little bit of an annoyance. You have to have your stick cam there, rightly positioned, and turn it on and then fly your quad. And this way you can just turn on a DVR and sync it all. And then you put it in there. It's actually, somebody actually made a really nice video blending it all
Yeah, I
together.
saw
Yeah,
that.
it's such a
I
great
think that's
feature.
a blend
I saw
of
that
it.
too.
Yeah, I mean, he did a really nice job with that. But that was one of the purposes. So we owed the community some graphical OSD features, because they bought a graphical OSD, but in the beginning when we released it, they only got like a character-based OSD. So that was one of the things. And the home arrow, was, on the old version was kind of like sprite-based like this,
Yeah.
like how it is in Betaflight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you use it now, it's like a smooth
Nice and
movement,
smooth, yeah.
and especially if you're using like a mag, then also what I did is like the compass would just say north, south, southeast, or whatever, it was just basically plainly sitting there. So
Yeah.
I have like this nice new visual compass, that moves around. It's a little bit more GPS related stuff. And then I started playing around with rotations and zooms, so if some of you have noticed, like the logo zooms in, and spins around. So that's a little bit more of a toy that I played around
Yeah.
with, and it's torturing that MCU that is on it, because it has to do a lot of math to do that. So yeah, that's some of the things. I've put some frames in. Or yeah, the other thing is that for those who are like really like in a professional videography is adding a frame. So you can display like a frame that you can match to your GoPro, you know, and because typically you have a bigger field of view on your FPV cam than you have on your GoPro, or it's different.
Yeah.
And then you may have a hard time, you know, figuring out, okay, where is my center spot of that? So you can put that in, and you can even put it on a lock switch or something like that, because you never want to fly with a frame all the time. So you can just flip it on and off if you want to.
Or you can even add it to a slider, right? I mean, Alex, you've got that feature in there now that you could have the OSD more verbose or less verbose, right? And you could put that on a slider.
That feature has been actually on there since KISS OSD 2.0. So it's a really old feature.
I had no idea.
That's one of these things, you know, like a lot of these features that I have in there, I feel like that, although we have the wiki and everything out there, but some people just don't like to read, you know. So they don't
open the
some of us just can't read.
So think about it.
I guess I have to make some videos about it, you know, or talk about it, or how to.
I've got the notes on them. I'm waiting for those videos. I got the notifications.
Well, consider this, Alex. You know, a lot of it. You know, we work in software, right? A lot of getting someone to use something is the usability factor of it. KISS has had some great usability when it comes to setup and the lack of, you know, very little tuning, very little to have to deal with in the UI. But some of the places like the older OSDs, with the way we'd have to flash them and the cords and the cables and all of that, I don't know if the usability, it's definitely not where it is now. So to me, the new UI that released, that came out with this, you know, no more having to, I mean, we all know the impulse driver fixer, right? It's all FPV people's best friend. But now, I mean, everything just works out of the box. You've got auto detection, and I think a lot of these features that you've said that maybe have been in there, well, now we're more exposed to them because of the UI and how easy it is to go find those things and adjust them. What is your take on that? I mean, I assume that was some of the, you know, I don't know, dare I say, acceptance criteria that you guys had for that, or at least some of the outputs you wanted to see when you were making it.
Yeah, I mean, the UI was obviously a big step, you know, coming from KISS OSD. Look, on KISS OSD, I was simply challenged with the space, you know, that was left over on that little 8-bit chip. So, and adding even an interface that talks to the UI, there was simply no space for it anymore. Then I would have to kick some other features out, which I did actually at some point. But you'd be surprised, you know, where people are like, well, how come that feature is all of a sudden gone? You know, so you're like, okay, you know, it's math. Like, yeah, where do you start? Where do you stop? So then we went to this 32-bit chip, which there's obviously no space issues at this point. And the UI is definitely, I think the biggest criticism that we have heard about the UIs is that it just runs under Windows. So, but there is some.
That's not a bad problem, right? That's a fixable.
Yeah, well, that's you know, if you're running Windows, it's like, I don't really care. But there's quite a bunch of Mac users out here, and including. There you go. And then you can configure everything inside the OSD firmware, right. You know, so you don't need the GUI if you want to. I know it's not that comfortable, but every single setting, there's actually a few settings in there, like that frame that I talked about. It doesn't make any sense to set up that frame in the GUI.
Yeah,
you got to see what you're doing there.
You got to be able to match it up to your.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look in your goggles anyhow. So that has to be done in the firmware itself,
right?
Or if you calibrate your magnetometer, I mean, you got to be starting and turning your quad around like 57 times until the mag is calibrated. So that you also have to do from the firmware itself. So there are some firmware only adjustments, and it'll always be, you know, that the firmware will have all the adjustments, and the graphical user interface maybe like 98% of them. We're working, or there is some plans this year that Sean already leaked that out, so I can say that too, that we want to kind of like, we're exploring some different stuff. We just have to wait, for that HID driver to be a little bit more mature. Then we can put that whole GUI in kind of like a browser. We can run it under Chrome, and then it's going to be available for all platforms out there. So it's just a matter of this HID driver to mature that is currently under development. But once we have like a base project where we know we can flash it, which is the most important thing, under various platforms, then we can also port the rest of that, or we really don't have to port it. We just may have to massage it a little bit, and you got the GUI on all platforms.
Very cool.
So a question, if I can, Alex, you've talked about switching to the hardware, right? You switched to a 32-bit hardware offering. One of the other things, as we're on the topic of KISS, one of the other things people may be turned off about is the fact that today, in order to have an OSD with KISS, it is on some type of external device, right? And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. It's either a PDB or it's the like the OSD board
Apex
inside
OSD,
of the Apex or something like that. What are your thoughts on that? Are there benefits to that? Do you have stronger hardware? Does that allow you to have stronger hardware than what you'd see on a flight controller? Is that just because FlyDuino doesn't have an OSD on the flight controller, and that's the why this is? I noticed that one of the things that I really get out of my KISS setups is ultra clean video. No noise, no lines, no nothing. And people can ride with me, and they really kind of notice that around, hey, that's super clean. And for me to be able to do crazy stuff, do crazy dives, get into to just push your limits, you've got to have that confidence. Some things like Crossfire give you that confidence. KISS gives you that confidence. The super clean video gives me confidence that I can see and go and navigate, right? So what are your thoughts on the separate OSD? Do you see a place for it in the future of integrated? We know Sean did something really, really crafty with nestling that OSD chip into the Apex frame itself, so that you don't have to, that we can solve that on the Apex. Just what are your thoughts in general? Where do you see it going?
All right, so if you try to build a quad with single ESCs, you somehow need a PDB, a power distribution board, right? So, and then the Wolf is your best bet because it's already, kind of like it combines a PDB and OSD at the same time.
It's thoughtless to wire. It's great.
Yeah, so it cleans all the entire build up. So that is already an integrated solution. So now when you're talking 4-in-1s, then it becomes a little different. I mean, Sean came up with a really great solution with the Apex OSD, and that extra regulator board. But I can see that, with this 4-in-1 trend and everything getting smaller and more integrated, that this is going to be kind of like more of a, more of a trend that's going. Somebody at some point is going to make an KISS flight controller, with an OSD. I think FedTech announced that. So
Yeah.
somebody's really like, okay, who's going to make it first?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's probably the most asked question I get when people know that I fly KISS and have questions about it and ask for when's that going to happen. And when FedTech originally came out and said they were doing a ESC and an FC, I saw more comments about, is there going to be an integrated OSD than probably anything else?
Absolutely. Probably more than, hey, what's one wire?
And most people, if they were upset with the V2 or FedTech's flight controller, that was the reason why. And they couldn't figure out why, but I don't know either. But
I just use
individual.
I just using TBS Evo now. So
there you go.
That's what I'm doing.
Austin did that. Austin, you put an Evo in something for a similar to solve the solution in a similar way, right?
I did, and it works, and it works really well. Like the whole integration with picking up the telemetry, I get everything, amp draw, and whatnot. The one thing I don't like about it is it's messier wires wise. I'd actually would prefer to use the Impulse OSD because it's all plug and play.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
But
they're
for
very
some
clean.
people, it's impulses doesn't fit, or yeah. I thought there's a nice option to have OSD that is on TBS and integrated with KISS.
Yeah.
And the funny thing, probably TBS will kill me for that. It works with any receiver. So it's actually converts Futaba or SBoost or Graupner to Crossfire protocol and drives Evo from it.
No shit.
No
That's
shit.
Wow, I
serious,
did not
seriously.
know
I
that.
didn't know that
Yeah,
either.
the first guy users using it with TBS Evo without Crossfire system. I am emulating it
wow.
fully.
Is
Well,
that the
I
part
think-
of the Crossfire router? Is the router doing
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
that? Oh, now that makes a
Very
lot more
cool.
sense. Okay.
Well,
Absolutely.
I think what TBS is doing with the Evo and Crossfire and the Fusion and what kind of they have coming in the future is going to be just
Yeah, they
super
just
cool.
announced the Wi-Fi and stuff for Fusion. I've been testing it for a while. It's pretty amazing stuff. It's gonna be exciting to see how that integrates with all platforms.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Mr. Wolf, is there anything else you want to talk about as far as the new OSD firmware, or any features, or maybe some some eggs in there that are a little bit hidden that people don't know about?
Anything you're looking for feedback on?
Yeah.
Tips or tricks?
You know what? That is, you're hitting a real good point. That's what I was struggling the most with, is to get feedback for it, or testers or something, but I've gotten really very, very little feedback about what I'm
How
doing.
good it is.
And
That's not always.
that's what
Seriously.
you assume then, that you're doing it right, because
I can
if there's
tell
no
you are.
feedback, thanks. Yeah. I appreciate it that you like it. So the positive feedback is good too. But if you think something should be different or should be changed, and look, some of the feedback we got, like the macOS users not being happy and so forth. So and we're working on that. But otherwise, if there's any feedback, good or bad, we'd love to hear it. We always
Well,
want to.
I tell you what, the things that I was wanting and asking for, you just put in that framing for the GoPro and the stick overlay, because I just find that's really interesting to see what you're doing on the sticks also, even if you're not putting it out there in YouTube land or on a video. It's just nice to see where, hey, maybe I'm doing something a little stupid that I shouldn't.
Yeah, I like it in
Mhm.
review. It's
Yeah,
just kind of
exactly.
neat. How do you fly? I get jealous of what Austin does, but I know how much work his ass has to put into making those videos, with
Right?
stick cam and
Stick cam.
overlay and all this. Alex, let me ask you one thing about the OSD. So one thing that is a newer item, I believe, or at least we've seen more comments about it, is this sync rate with cameras, right? Going in and adjusting and I'm probably using the wrong
Yep.
word, so correct me on it. But tell us about that. Tell us what it is, why it exists, and that's probably the first place to check when you don't see the OSD or if it disappears or something like that, right? Is this new?
Yeah, so that started with the graphical OSDs, because unfortunately the cameras, or different cameras, or some of them, they're not like really always 100% to the NTSC or PAL standard. So then you may have to, it has to find the sync level. It's like an analog signal. It has to find this the sync. Otherwise, it can't sync with the video signal and can't output or overlay the OSD on top of it. And that was just a simple adjustment to fix that. There is a plan to automate that in the future. So we have kind of like an auto sync, but that's a little bit challenging to do. And yeah, there's, to be honest, that video driver is Sean's baby, and Sean's a very busy guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's, I could dive into that too, but I really left that up to him. There was, for a while, you saw a lot of comments about it. There's a shared resource between the camera control and the video driver.
Uh-huh.
And there was some kind of conflict in there, but we fixed that over the Christmas period. So if you load the latest firmware on, I even recently, due to like a request, I got a Cadix rattle or however you call it. That thing is a little nasty when it comes to camera control, but it's even, there's a preset for it. So you can just set it up and put up the preset. So typically, I mean, a very popular cam is obviously that Swift Mini 2, because Steel flies it, so obviously a lot of people are using it. And then you had to, in order actually to get the camera control to work, you had to bump up the cam set to 200.
Right.
If you're on the latest firmware, you don't have to do this anymore.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm on the Christmas present firmware, but I need to get the one that just recently came out.
Same here, because I have had some camera control issues with it.
Yeah, the Christmas present video was or version was actually the big fix for the camera control. And really, or the small update that I just did, that's just like rattle support, and then also you can set up a custom camera control. That's just for the future for us, so we are not pressured to release a new firmware. You can just put in the resistance for the camera to get the camera control. We can then figure out what it is and tell you, hey, just go to custom and put this in, and it's going to work for you.
That's awesome.
That's just
life easier. That's good, easier. Man.
So my last question for you, Mr. Wolf, it's a request. You've probably heard this before, but you've seen the Brain Radix stuff, right? And everybody, one of the big splashes they made was the ability to customize with some of the graphics. Everybody loves customization. Look at what Apple's done with different colored phones. You could make $1 trillion by just making different colored phones. Who would have thunk? But things like that, do you expect to see a time where we could see a Goon Squad boot logo?
Yeah, baby.
Even upload our own fonts to use that we find most comfortable, most identifiable in the OSD.
Fonts or you can actually change fonts now. There's obviously like a pre-selected area in there. But as far as the logos, yes, I'm listening on that. So that is actually something that I can implement, where you won't have like this fancy animation and probably anymore. I'm not sure if I may actually be able to get that to work too, because if we keep it at the same size, if I give you the size, you can put in whatever you want there.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna do its rotations and spinnings, in the
that would
beginning.
Be super fun.
Yeah, that's certainly, it's something that I'd be happy to do, so you can personalize the whole thing.
Well, here's what I've seen locally as a use case. You're getting more and more people using this Impulse OSD. 2 friends and I, we all power up, we get ready to fly. Shit, whose channel am I on? Because we all have the same Impulse OSD logo there. I'm like, well, crap, now it's just not me anymore. Now everybody. So, but anyways, just fun things. I mean, we all love
good suggestion.
You can use the stick overlay, Willie, so you can bump your sticks and see if your sticks are moving now.
There you go.
You can, yes, the stick overlay is there sometimes in
I've
mine.
got to figure out how to put those things on a switch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we've asked you guys a lot of questions. Just one point I want to make, and I swear I'll shut up for a bit. That what you guys saw here today is something that keeps me enjoying the KISS community. The fact that I reached out to Alex and I said, hey, we've talked a little bit on Facebook, me asking questions, being a dummy around the things that you make, right? And you're helping me out. But will you hop on here and just tell us about what you're doing? Tell us about what makes it different, and just have a conversation with folks that, again, are creating the things that we all love to fly. So I don't believe there's any other community out there that is so connected like this, that you can reach out as easily. get things done, make requests. I mean, you've got
I mean,
developers here, guys, saying, hey, give me feedback. Are there things you want to see? Tell me about it. I can't tell you how much of a gift that is to you as someone in this hobby. So thank you both very much. I mean, just thank you for what you've done and what you continue to do. And thanks for taking the time today. So that's just been great discussion.
So
absolutely.
So
Thanks, Willie.
what about FetTech? They're making a lot of noise. Like, what's going on? What's going on with One Wire and all that stuff?
Well, I wonder if Alex, if you have any insight. I know you don't work for them, but you certainly make firmwares, and maybe you have some insight into the differences.
Well, I can tell you the story of FedTech, or you want to know some technicalities?
Let's have both.
Both.
I mean, for the folks watching.
Well, FedTech is pretty much the same thing as it was KISS. So there's one guy behind it. Well, one guy who actually develops hardware stuff and software stuff. It's Felix Nissen. That's the guy who actually built whole KISS hardware and software. Well, at least more than half of it.
Yeah.
And he just started his own company with few friends, and they start to make ESCs. Then they made a 20 by 20 35 amp ESC, and after that they released FedTech FC, which is licensed KISS software, so uses licensed KISS software. And now they're working on other products. I think new ESC will be released soon, and there's some things I just can't tell.
Of course.
This is pretty much it. Everybody, I think, saw the OSD they're working on. With it's not really FedTech is doing it. Some other guy is doing it for them, but Felix is seriously involved in that process. Maybe it will be included or not, but that's I think it's graphical OSD with some fancy stuff in it. Well, that's the next step for FedTech. Technical FedTech FC, it's like 95% KISS schematics. Well, I can run KISS firmware on the FedTech, but I wouldn't dare to fly it, but it flashes and it runs. ESC written from scratch. But it's still written by the same brain, so
Yeah.
I think a lot of ideas taken from KISS and just pushed it on a bit new level. One Wire, well, Felix is it's kind of hobby of him to do motor control and invent new digital protocols. Well, you know, one shot is technically not digital. One shot, dish shot, now One Wire. The guy is really crazy about this stuff. Well, to feel the difference, well, I don't feel the difference, but some people do.
Do you see any differences between One Wire and D-Shot 2400?
Technically, there is a difference because you need to squeeze 4 channels or more than 4 channels to the same together on the one wire. So it's slower than 2400. Well, I think it's more close to 600 or something. But honestly, 600, 1200, 2400, there's a difference. It's really, really small between them.
Right.
It's like the sharpness
maybe
of a picture.
there is a difference for sure, but it's not that huge. There is still some problems at the moment with D-Shot 2400. So I know Felix is working to fix it. So
that's with FedTech, right?
With FedTech, yeah, that's not KISS problem. That's problem on FedTech. Is they're desyncing sometimes, like jerking a little bit. So the solution is to downgrade it to 1200 or go one wire. Those are working.
Yeah, I've been using One Wire. I've got One Wire on both of mine now, and I really enjoy how they're flying. I mean, you saw that we all saw that little clip. I mean, that was all on One Wire. It's great out of the box.
It will fly the same with this shot. What you did there, this thing you hang in the air, it would, believe me, it would work pretty much the same thing with D shots.
I mean,
But
I'm just magical then, Alex. I'm just gonna-
how much
Of course.
is there a difference in latency between one wire and 2400 or 1200 even?
Well, in latency, there could be a difference. Could be different latency because with this shot you driving ESCs independently.
Right.
So if you start sending commands, all four of them will get the command at the same time. For one wire, you're sending the packet, and well, you need to wait until the packet is received, and well. Of course, there's all the motors are in that packet, so you do the math. But it's we're talking microseconds there, so
Sure.
it's really tiny money.
And what is
placebo more than anything?
what is the push, for the like D-Shot 2400 versus 1200 versus 600? Like, where do you think we'll keep going? Do you think we'll see D-Shot 4800, a year from now or 2 years from now? What is the emphasis behind D-Shot 2400 as a protocol?
It's just a change of the speed. So the shot is just serial protocol.
Sure, but is there a technical like requirement or anything that's causing the need for this?
Moore's law.
Need what?
I don't know. I'm just curious because KISS is pretty much the only firmware that supports 2400. Other firmwares have actually stopped supporting 1200 and are limiting to 600. I'm just curious. From an outsider's perspective, the need for 2400
Any benefits
or the
Well,
benefits.
some firmwares that is not KISS related have problems playing beeps on the motor, so they start suddenly doing something weird. And but it's also what firmware runs on the ESC. So Felix is really writing very compact and efficient code. So there's no bells and whistles, but it's just all automatic. You barely can configure it, so there's no need for that because, well, he does auto timing and everything, and he managed to do it in a very fast way.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is to going higher than 2400. Well, believe me, if there would be a possibility, Felix would do 4800, etc. So there, I think until 10 megabits you can do something there, or something like that. But it's a serial wire.
Yeah.
At a certain point in time, you start to get a lot of errors on this serial wire, and so then your packets will be just dropped. And in fact, if you have 4800 and you have 30% of the packets are dropped, technically you are on like 1200.
Right.
So what's the point? So there's always the quality of data versus speed of data. So well, there's some balance.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well,
Let's see.
I think did everybody see any questions in the chat?
Do we want to start moving that way? You guys have anything else you want to add before we take questions from the viewers?
No, I think we've kind of covered everything that I wanted to.
All right, Vice, you been taking notes?
Yeah, one of the most popular questions is people kind of want the PID set up in DJI goggles. I guess hasn't been implemented yet for the software.
Actually, I did implement it already.
Well, looks like these people
we went to talk about that. And
You
we
can-
stepped away. I'm
You
sorry.
can go to DJI. It's all Betaflight related, unfortunately. You can go to the PID setup and you can change key speeds from it. There's one catch. PIDs looks weird because KISS 3.0 you have shown like Betaflight 330. So that's only one thing. So if you keep that dot in mind, and you can go there, you can change it. It works. It's not yet public, but on the Patreon I have version 42H released a couple of days back that supports pretty much everything that's allowed for me to be supported.
Excellent.
And so you can adjust the PIDs through the OSD on that version.
PIDs and rates, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And filtering? Do you guys have any sort of filtering adjustment or no?
No, filtering, no, because it's a Betaflight filters, and that page looks like horror show. To be honest.
That's how I feel as well.
No, just open it on DJI. You will be shocked.
Is it pretty?
I just
Yeah, it's
overwhelmed.
KISS. You don't really need to
Adaptive
touch filters
filter.
anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah, adaptive.
Just set it.
Well,
check.
what if I was building a 10-inch and I was able to build a 10-inch on KISS? I would probably need to drop my filters.
Why?
Now you'd use 1K and adaptive filters, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, adaptive will not work for all the situation, but it works for most situations. There is a chance it will work on 10-inch, but I never flown 10-inch on KISS.
Traditionally,
Some people did actually.
well, traditionally, like compared to other firmwares, I would have to drop my filters in my low passes in around 80, 85 or so to get a nice clean filtering scenario.
Be interesting to see. We should test that out.
I know I may have to put
Yeah, I think you should be the first, Chad.
So actually, that brings up a question FPV Geek had: is there if you, for whatever reason, if you're unable to run KISS ESCs, which this kind of applies to me, in that situation, what is there a preferred ESC that would work with you would get the best possible KISS experience, or no? How do we feel about that?
I don't have non-KISS ESCs. I don't fly non-KISS ESCs. Sorry, I have no experience.
I have. When I first started flying KISS, I just couldn't afford the FC and the ESCs in one shot. And my BL Heli 32 ESCs at the time worked fine. It's a bit of a pain in the ass to get the firmware updated on it, but it is possible
Configure
on
them.
those ESC to configure them and all that nonsense. But any ESC out there will work with it that I've found.
And if I
yes,
oh, go ahead.
It's a protocol, and if it's the same protocol, of course it will work. That's definition of the protocol.
Mhm.
But there are some things that KISS introduced with this shot, and they are implemented the right way on KISS because it was made there.
Right.
Like motor reversing, like beeping, all this fancy stuff people like. But they are not fully implemented on other ISCs, on BL helis. So some things works, something doesn't.
Yeah.
That's it. The rest works fine.
Does pass through work for BL Heli? If I was running a KISS flight
No.
controller, it does
No.
not work.
No.
Okay.
No,
Does
there
not
is a
work.
hardware limitation
Okay.
Yeah.
because of the PVM drivers. Felix put PVM drivers on the outputs, and they are one-way components, so they cannot pass data from ASC back to FC. So
Is this present in the tech? Because there's basically pass through for their ESC's GUI.
no, with FedTech it's something else, because KISS use two serial lines to connect to ESC. One is telemetry, one is PVM. So actually that is two serial lines, so you can have both ways. Telemetry doesn't have anything on it, so it's just directly connected between ESCs and directly connected to the CPU. So there's no problem, you can talk both ways.
I see.
One wire, it's by definition is two-way protocol, so it's half duplex. So you send data to ASC, and ASC can send data back on the same wire. So that's why you can use KISS as path-through for FedTech ASCs. KISS just forwards data from USB to ASC directly, and that's why you have to reboot it afterwards.
Gotcha. That's good info.
FPV Geek in the chat just asked, how much difference would one feel using a regular BL Heli 32 ESC compared to KISS and FedTech ESCs? In my experience, it just tuned easier, felt a little sharper, and just felt better overall as a complete ecosystem, as opposed to having, BL Heli and KISS. I just liked it better, and it was very noticeable, especially with the 32 amp ESCs when they came out. I just felt like the D-Shot 2400 just felt a hair crispier, just more responsive slightly.
So, like I said, it surprises you, Artie, right?
It really does. I mean, it's
the crab. Your hands will do the move, and then you sit there in disbelief that it actually happened so cleanly. You're like, shit, and you're taken aback for a moment, right? To the point sometimes where I'll go to break and I'll end up flipping back, stopping, flipping back. I'm like, holy shit. And it just sits. It's just insane So the performance is second to none for me, and that feels just amazing.
Yeah, and I've
Notice it.
honestly been trying to find a cheaper out, like something that felt as good as KISS or felt the same way and reacted the same way. And I've been trying for 2 years because look, my pockets hurt just as bad as everybody
Fed
else
Tech.
is buying new gear, but there's just nothing out there that quite feels.
Yeah, the FedTech setup
right
is
to
definitely
me.
more affordable.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. So a couple questions, a couple questions that kind of could be rolled together. I think some people would like to know where is the best place to keep up with the development of KISS and the OSD. Is there a particular Discord, or is there
there
a Slack or a forum?
I will start. Alex will continue. For KISS, well, I mostly put everything on Facebook, and I'm visiting like once a day RC groups. But RC group seems quite dying.
Yeah.
There's no Discord. Well, there is a Discord, but it is not public. A Discord of FedTech. It's only for internal team. But I would say Facebook is the best source for the information
Okay.
for KISS.
What about
Alex?
you, Mr. Wolf?
Impulse RC has a public Discord channel, and if I can find the link here, I can post it somewhere. Oh, there it is. Hold on.
The Goon Squad also has a FedTech KISS channel as well, just so everybody is aware.
Yeah. But
we're being
I'm going to
Boston.
post it here in the YouTube. So that is the, I'm going to say it again. That's the Impulse RC Discord channel.
Awesome.
So everybody is welcome to join. You know, obviously, we got to keep it, you know, nice in there. So
Yeah,
everybody
absolutely.
has to be,
So rolling into
nice and respectful.
rolling into that then. So where is the best place, Mr. Wolf, to give you feedback regarding the OSD? Would that be the Impulse Discord, or is there any particular?
Yeah, I'm always in that Discord channel. So, and then if you in Discord, if you do like an ad, you know, and then I'm Airwolf FPV in there, then you just add it at me, you know, and then you give me feedback or some feature that you're looking for and so forth. I mean, if it's a feature request, you know, since we're leaning on that KISS principle, I can't always say that I'm going to implement it, because sometimes, you know, we don't want to get to getting it everything more complicated. But if it's something, yeah, where you're saying like, yeah, this is really awkward or weird, you know, why are you doing it this way? And this would be so much easier. I'd be certainly happy to listen to that. So,
And again, just to reiterate, Death Beer, Mr. Willie's point, I mean, how awesome is it that we can actually get in touch and give our opinion and our feedback and actually have some changes happen? I mean, find another industry that happens on a regular basis.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I'm just like a guy like you that likes to fly FPV.
Absolutely.
I just happen to have the skill of programming and loving to do what I do.
Well, and I see that more and more every time I talk to new people. It's like, you know, they're just passionate about the hobby, just like all of us. And we're just trying to push it forward. And again, thank you guys so much for doing that and keeping me happy and in the air and not tuning all the time.
Awesome. And so
Beta flight.
Hey. You can rack on Beta Flight all you want. Leave me out of this. But actually, so the last one next thing I'd like to
Beta Flight.
for everyone here in the group, I'd like to ask, you know, what are your guys' build tips? Like, what's the best way to set these up? Are there any particular little gotchas or tips or tricks that we should be, you know, aware of?
Here's the beautiful thing about KISS hardware is just build cleanly, build it normally, and there's nothing extra. That's why it's KISS. It's keep it simple, and they do a great job of that. As long as you, obviously, if you're just terrible at soldering and there's just globs everywhere and there's a bunch of cold solders, you're gonna have problems. It's just keep doing it, get better at it. Clean solders, and that's it.
Well, yeah.
The only thing that I can say is just don't do it like me and be like a stubborn engineer and try to do it your way. Because then you end up spending a lot of money and stuff doesn't work and you have a lot of issues. That's how I started in this hobby. So the best tip that I can get is just watch a video from the pros that have done this all the time and try to mimic that exact build. Buy the same components. I know sometimes, there's a reason why these guys, are using like a little bit more expensive components, but for the first time, that's what you should do. Otherwise, you may have a bad experience with it, and then you're
Well,
like,
the
"Oh,
learning
man."
curve just shows, right?
Yeah.
So, when
So
you're not
and
familiar with
then
something.
you get into this whole thing, and you understand why you should be doing this or why you shouldn't be doing that. It takes a lot of time to figure this out if you come from zero from this hobby. How you get clean video, how
Right.
your ESCs, or your motors are all smooth, and your whole build is not shaking afterwards, and you don't got a bunch of problems. That's all. There's a lot of little details to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And especially I think in the beginning, people hear about, hey, I need to get my quad tuned, and what is quad tuning? And it's technical, but it's mystical all at the same time, right? It's some cybernetic unicorn that runs around that everyone tries to tame. And one of the nice things about KISS, and one of the things I enjoyed about Helio and Chad would say about Emu Flight, is just how much it's focused on pick it up and just fly. And KISS specifically, I mean, you have your config tab and an advanced tab. And when I set up a KISS build, here's my tip. You go put in your rates and you set up your switches on your radio, and then you go fly it. And that full stop. That's all you do. There's nothing else to tweak. There's no sliders. There's no balance. There's no turn this down to make iTerm work a certain way and turn it. You just go fly the damn thing. And I think for people in the beginning, I always recommend you build your quad, because you will break it within 48 to 72 hours and you will have to fix it. Don't be that guy that asks
way under.
Yeah. So yeah, you're going to so build that thing. And just go focus on flying it. That's what you need to worry about in the beginning.
And I think at this day and age, we're at a place where firmwares are just
it's
so
really
good. Yeah, I mean, when I started 3 years ago, I mean, to get that thing to fly without just doing this when you flew it was a pain in the ass. So tuning, you needed to get into once you could keep it in the air for more than a minute.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I mean, everything is just so good. Just focus on flight first. Worry about that stuff once you've gotten that.
And it's great right out of the box. I mean, any tweaking I've done on 40O has been purely out of preference.
Right.
Yeah. 40O, literally. I mean, I cannot tell you how. I mean, when I first tried KISS V2 in the first place, that was what sold me. It was just like, wow, we took this quad, got a reverb that's got Beta Flight on it, and my buddy's got a KISS V2. We put them back to default PIDs, and the KISS just flew like it was already 80% tuned.
Yeah.
And this was 2 years ago. Now, come to today, man, I put
even better
on there. I literally made minimal 5% changes on P, and that was it. And that's unheard of for me. I mean, it's just great. So just get out there and fly, get up in the air, stay in the air, and have fun with it.
Probably more important.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Well, probably more important than like general build tips is staying on the same hardware, like consistently, like little experimentation, find what fits for you, but you'll be a better pilot if you just stay on the same stuff all the time.
I agree with that. I was so guilty of changing all the time that first year.
Yeah, because
I
I
stopped and stayed. It just improved.
Because I'm in the hobby to fly, not to really experiment. Like I found stuff that works for me. I'm happy with it, so I've just stayed with it. And
same.
You know,
Same, also important to have just 2 good quads with quality components than 5 crappy ones.
Yeah,
exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Keep that stable sharp.
And as a, as a 10-inch guy, if I were to, put a KISS rig on a bigger quad, like, do we find that the PIDs translate well to large quads specifically?
On my 7-inch, it actually
hard question.
It actually did. It actually did. I had to drop the P's a little bit, but outside of that, I mean, it's
minimal.
Some people do, yeah.
Interesting. Awesome.
But that's
We
honestly,
have,
that's because I got those 2508 motors. When I had it on 2208, I literally did nothing with it.
Well, you
And it
know,
flew great.
the reason why I bring that up is because, you know, many firmwares tend to focus on the 5-inch class, you know, mini quads. But as, you know, the hobby is organically grown, you're seeing a lot of micros and you're seeing a lot of large macro quads in X class. And it'd just be interested to bring, you know, KISS to some of those larger formats, because I don't, unfortunately, I don't see a lot of KISS, you know, macro or X class quads as it stands.
Same
I
for the
don't know why.
micros.
I don't know why.
I don't either. Yeah.
The micros, that's the problem. There was not much of the small KISS flight controllers on the market, and you can't put V2 on tiny mining quads.
Yeah, you
So
can.
that's technically, the adaptive filter is tuned mostly for around 5 inches quads, because it's majority is what is flying, but it's not really exactly 5-inch. It will work for 6, it will work for 7. So its whole idea is it's kind of
Adaptive.
it's adapting, yeah. But yeah, it's all based on vibrations. If you have big ass props, you know, vibrating, and they do more vibrations just by definition. So
Yeah, and it's lower frequency by
it's lower
comparison.
frequency and higher amplitude. So
Yeah.
it's something else. Some things it just cannot be filtered, or it
Yeah.
needs to be just really the notch filters defined by the black box. That might work as well. So
Well, that's why I'm really curious personally, just, you know, because it is a low frequency, and just curious to see how the KISS filtering handles that low frequency noise overlapping the, you know, what's happening with the PID controller and the motion of the craft.
That'd be interesting.
yeah,
to see.
it does
You gotta
filter
test
it, of
out.
course.
Yeah.
What's the question?
Well, you
Or
know,
you just want to know?
it just, I mean, as you said, it's higher amplitude. So if it's a low frequency, high amplitudes, you know, noise that's being introduced into the PID loop, I'm just curious how well the filtering works at that point. As we know, you know, as we know, quad motion is like sub, you know, what, 500 hertz, right? So,
Yeah.
so if I have, you know, prop noise, because, you know, literally those props create probably more noise in the craft than the motors or anything else, you know, and I'm seeing a lot of resonance around 500 or lower. So I'm just curious about that, how the filters would attack that.
Before 100 and 500, adaptive should eat them up. So outside that, below 100, that is gets trickier because it's control affected, and above 100, it's a bit trickier because we have 1000 PID loop.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the thing.
Because that's where because if I have, you know, if I have prop noise at 500, I may see resonance at 1000. I may have a harmonic right at
Yes, of
1000.
course.
So that's why this is really interesting for me in those regards, to see what happens. So I guess I'm gonna have to send it.
Just try it. Just try it. If you if you make black box for it, it will tell the story in no time.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And speaking of black, so, and this is going to be sounding an ignorant question, because I'm actually working on my first KISS build. So we have black box on the majority of KISS FCs, or all of them?
It's external.
No, yeah.
Oh,
you
it's
have to get an
external. Okay.
It's external.
Okay. And what about FETTech? Have they integrated or no? It's still external?
If you no, it's not integrated, but
Okay.
you can connect just external Betaflight black box. The funny thing on KISS V2, there is a place for the chip, for the flash chip,
Yeah.
but it was never populated.
Yeah. I saw that.
So if I'm crafty with my SMD workstation, can I slap it on there?
Yeah, but it's not gonna work.
Ah!
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No flow for you.
Oh man, come on.
No, that's it's actually it's when I was doing Betaflight stuff and I was flying Betaflight, I start to solder that chip or chips on Nazi 32, and yeah, you can log it, but they're not that big,
Right.
and actually you end up landing and you log not exactly that moment you've been looking for, and chip is full. So I didn't really like it, and downloading it takes bloody ages. So
Right. Yeah, very true. Very true. Awesome. Vice, we got any other questions from the viewers as it stands?
Just one question about where somebody can find like PDFs for the Wolf V3. Something with I don't know.
Is there a wiring
I
diagram, or
guess.
has anybody done a
Already-
how to?
I already linked one down on the
Oh, you did?
in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, there's there's a build video from Livio, and then there's the reason why we didn't put out a wire or like a diagram for it is because Sean was able to print out, what each individual pad
each thing
means,
was.
but it
Except for
like
one,
that.
Alex.
Yeah,
Which
except
one?
for one.
Except for the one, right? Is it smart audio or is it cam control?
I think they're also
Seems like
there's
one
also a
of them.
little.
One's missing.
One of them is not. Anyhow, there's some confusion with it of what is what, or especially on the cam, because on the Wolf V1 we had the serial port there, and then we had the regular OSD cam control, so the kind of like that voltage cam control. And then we combined that all into one pin. People sometimes have a hard time understanding, okay, what should I connect to that one pin? Whereas technical people, it's very straightforward, but I understand that for somebody that's new in the hobby or doesn't,
Correct.
he's like a bit confused about that. So I actually, as we were speaking, I raised an issue, so that's where I'm tracking it in GitHub. And so I'm gonna put something together that either makes an explanation or something that will help out users within our wiki.
Sick.
Excellent. Was there anything about V3 that you changed versus Rev 2 outside? Of just
Well, the big change
footprint?
was moving to a graphical OSD, basically.
Yeah.
From V1, V2 to V3 that is a major change. I mean, we went to a total different MCU from before. We had an F3 before, and now we're on an L4.
Nice.
And there's no max chip. So that's also another component less that tended to fail. So that's the advantage of that. And you get all these nice graphical OSD features. Like if you have a Wolf V2 or the Wolf V1 or V2 users, they unfortunately don't have a stick cam. They don't have fancy rotating logos, or they don't have a frame and all of that. But
I'm
you can't do that on a character-based OSD. But they're still, we're not forcing anyone to
make the
buy the new products. They can use it, and I'm still going to.
I've got two on the way.
So, it's you don't have to upgrade, from the old one. Keep flying it. Keep flying until it breaks.
Sure.
Does the new firmware work on the Rev 2 and Rev 1, or is it only for
I'm still going to keep some of the camera control updates that I've done, like for the rattle support and so forth. So if you flash your Wolf V1, V2, you get all those new updates.
The benefits. So you're still supporting those.
Or there's some protocol change, that is being done with KISS or so. We're going to keep following through that. I mean, there's obviously going to be more of the newer features going to be for the graphical OSDs at this point.
Sure.
But, maintenance and other things is still going to be supported.
Awesome. So, as you both unfortunately are, obviously you're not employees of KISS or Impulse, but some of our viewers are requesting more vendors in Canada, and we're just curious where they might go to petition for that. I guess might be what they need to do. Do you guys have any? Should they blow up the Discord or what?
No, they cannot blow up the Discord. But if you want to do FedTech has a group on Facebook. I think that would be the good place to nag. For FlyDuino, that's a little bit trickier, but you can send them email. But I'm not sure how fast the response will come.
Fair enough.
No, I don't know that I've ever
agree
gotten
on
a response from FlyDuino. Ever.
Really? Well, I have Poland on Skype, so.
Well, there you go.
Well,
I'm coming to you next time.
correct. We know who we know who the new honorary Goon Squad members are. Call on.
Absolutely. And then, we like, again, I'll plug our Discord. We do have a KISS channel in the Discord where the guys are talking about their builds, and if you need help, at 3 a.m, there's usually somebody up or around, so you can always hop in there and post questions and stuff. So
that's nice.
We support multiple communities on our Discord. So
yeah, that's what
all the communities, man.
I'm the last beta flight holdout. The last,
You're not the last
one flying
one.
beta flight.
You're just the most stubborn one. I mean, at least I built a KISS rig, and you know what I'm all about. So there you go.
Well, while this has been going on, I have been pricing out a KISS rig.
You need to.
I've been looking at a Team Black Sheep for pretty much just to get everything in one hit.
Yeah, my brother already bribed me with that V2 rig, so he's like, "You got to do it."
Do either of you have a preference in the different hardware?
I'm a individual ESC kind of dude, so I definitely recommend those KISS 32s.
Is there any difference between like a KISS or the FlyDuino or the FedTech? Is it just all relatively similar stuff hardware wise?
Well, as far as I know, most of it's the same firmware, right? So it should be relatively similar.
No, it is not.
It is not firmware.
See, these are my newbie questions.
Let's get them out.
Alex said before the FedTech stuff, the KISS stuff, and the KISS stuff is now seen on FlyDuino hardware and on FedTech hardware, right? They're both the same type of schematic, basically, right, Alex?
Flight controller, yes, but not
flight controller,
ESC, but
not ESC.
About
Correct.
ESC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the ESC, and you can go out to FedTech's page, Vice, and they there was a nice interview with Felix and some of the guys around the differences of the FedTech ESC at different is it the sign versus half sign?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Philip did interview with him.
Yeah, correct. So there's more information out there on that. As far as to add to what Artie said, Vice, the FedTech only comes in a 4-in-1 right now, so you have to make the decision.
That's fine. I'm still like a beginner, so I pretty much just do
So
the
individuals are nice. If you end up destroying one on it with a strike or burning one, you can just replace one. The KISS 4-in-1's about $120. Just let that sit for a second. I want to say
no. I've been pricing it out. I've been
the FedTech is around $80, maybe.
No, I think less. I think
was it 60?
70?
Around 60, I think. I don't know. Euros, dollars.
Stack for about the same. I will say this: it depends on your frame too, right? So I fly an Apex.
Yeah, I would be building the
go
Apex.
4-in-1.
I'd be going for the newest.
that's a good point actually. So the difference there, the FedTechs are 20 millimeter. Is that correct?
They are 20 by 20.
Yes.
That is correct.
20 by 20, yeah.
So that's an advantage for micro guys as well. If they're interested in trying KISS, they could do a 3-inch on a 20 by 20 rig, no issue.
Absolutely.
I could do 20/20 on the ripsqueak, no problem.
The FedTech FC is 20 by 20 or 30 by 30. It has a 30 by 30 bolt tab with
but it does protrude out a little further,
and you can snap those tabs off if you want. So I think there's an opportunity now to see KISS.
If I were to go single ESCs, what would be the
KISS 32s?
Would be the
KISS
V2s.
Yeah.
Okay.
I highly recommend them. You can knock capacitors off of them and they still go.
They're
because I would like to support Mr. Wolf and get the Wolf PDB.
Yes.
The 4
there we go.
individual
There's the
ESCs.
FedTech FC. Alex.
Ooh, that's pretty.
And
That
those
is very
tabs
pretty.
break off if you want to. It's got the
you can chop them off.
Show
cool.
that again, Alex. Sorry, show that one more time. I brought you full screen.
But I will say this:
Awesome.
it does kind of protrude out a little further than the ESC, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's setting on top.
Ask again.
When
it sits on
FC,
top.
when it sits on that 20 by 20 ESC, it does kind of protrude out a little further than the ESC, correct?
Yeah, the ESC has more of a rectangular shape than the flight controller. It's more of a traditional split. I will say this too: the KISS ESCs, even though they require a bunch of wires on them, right, than what you would normally see, they're much easier to solder to than the current FedTech 4-in-1. The current FedTech 4-in-1 like Alex was.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. I'd like to see some larger pads, Felix, if you're watching, please. Specifically around the LiPo and the cap areas. But fantastic hardware. Again, start with the individuals. You know, that's what's on my Alien Seal today. It's Die Hard. And
Yeah, I want to get that.
PDB. Something else to know, Vice. One of my favorite things. I don't know if people get this or appreciate it, Alex, but it doesn't really take up a part of your stack. The 30 by 30 holes in the Wolf PDB are larger holes. So imagine your first standoffs are there, Vice, and this thing slips down over it and uses adhesive to sit on the carbon.
Right, right.
It doesn't
super
occupy
nice
part of your stack. So you can, you know, it's how I could build the slammed aliens back in the past, or, you know, if you're Bandolero, Chad, something like that, it allows that low build space.
Word. That's awesome.
It's just great. It's great.
But
It's
don't
fantastic.
forget, you can move your FC or AC to the back of the Apex, for example.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's always a great option as well. I think that's super cool. That's super cool.
Sick. So awesome, guys. Man, I think we may have already lost Mr. Wolf, unfortunately. But do we have time? Is there anything else left? Do you want to roll a couple videos and start wrapping this?
Why don't we do that? Yeah, let's start wrapping and show a couple of videos with some guys running KISS firmware.
All right.
All that 40O goodness.
All right, so the first one I have on deck here is going to be Red 5. So let's rock that real quick. Let's see here. Screen cap. All right, here we go.
This is what I'm talking about with all the work that Austin puts in. I like the overlay.
Oh, we're showing my stuff, huh?
Yeah.
So what makes KISS KISS? It's not, nobody can, it's unexplainable.
Stick feel.
Simple setup.
Oopsies.
Stick feels unlike any else.
That bounce sent me upwards. I just kill throttle and hope I fucking made it.
That was awesome.
And a sign. Yeah, no solicit. Let's go with that.
Jesus.
Notice the clean video too as he's flying.
Yeah, I don't notice any kind of side to side
And that's
bobble.
the DVR, right? So, I mean, outside of
Oh,
whatever you do signal distortion, I mean, it's just super clean. You don't have motor noise. You don't have motor
It's all
lines.
RF noise. It's
Yeah,
nothing
you only have
caused
whatever's
by
there
the
from RF,
internal
correct.
system. And that's what I've always loved about it. If you build it clean, it's just, I've never had video issues since switching to KISS.
Yeah, having that stuff separate and filtered like that it's not a bad thing to my book. In my book,
Yeah.
So this is
Learn to
this is
build
with the
with that.
5-volt regulator and all that.
yeah.
You know how to fly? That prop's screwed.
Oh yeah, you can hear it.
Have you noticed how cold the motors are now, Austin?
Oh, yeah.
Like, Alex, you're starting to get me because I'll come back and there's a prop like point, you know,
That's
it's just
all she
sticking his
broke.
arm up in the air. I'm like, shit, I didn't even know. And the motor's not even warm. Love it.
That spot is so
That was
ridiculous, dude. With all
Yeah, it's
those
a fun
gaps.
spot.
Well, word up. So Austin Red 5's YouTube is down in the description. If you like that,
I'll make sure to link it.
jump in there and smash that subscribe button. Let's see here. Let's go.
Hit the bell icon too.
Don't forget that bell. Make sure you comment.
Oh
too.
yeah, that bell and comment. Give him a likes. All that stuff.
All the things.
All the things. All right, so we got Willie up next here. Let me FetTech. This is the FetTech running one wire. Let me make sure I got this ready. All right.
It's gonna be embarrassing. I'm not gonna watch.
All right, here we go.
If you're not watching, is it really getting played? You always have the most buttery motion blur on your stuff, bro.
Oh, that's just filtering and a locked shutter.
You're Captain ND.
Oh, you use ND filters?
I bet, dude. I go through 20 ND filters a month.
Oh yeah. What do you use? Those Tellison?
No,
Yeah, what?
Hell no. I use the TBS one.
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Filter. Yeah.
What number ND do you have?
I've just
for,
never gotten a
this?
mount that I don't use.
Basically a golden hour.
I'll make you one, dude.
Yeah, I like to golden up, warm up my shots. I like to fly into the sun. That lock shutter and ND allows me to
Lock everything.
Yeah.
Everything you can.
As much
What,
as
are you
you
using
can.
a 16 or a 32?
This one was actually a 16. It's rare that I'll
really?
break out a 32. It's just everything is just a little too rich, and you know I film in
Unless
flat
you're on
color.
sand or snow. I mean.
Yeah, if I'm on the beach or something, absolutely. But it's just
Ooh, that's
nice
pretty.
how this thing moves and how it reacts. Like right here, whoops! That fence came out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Oh wait, I don't know if I'm synced up with what I'm watching. I'm blowing my own mind here. But it just, the whole
Hey, can you turn that
setup looks
audio down
nice.
just a shade?
It's hardly any tweaking to it. If you haven't flown it, you're missing out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say.
it's the best out there in my opinion.
Absolutely.
If you're
I'm on
having
the Team Black Sheep
struggles with your
website.
firmwares,
Slowly
definitely
like-
give it a
It
try.
allows you to turn off hyper smooth with confidence
Absolutely.
Sick,
and not give a damn.
sick flying, Willie.
I don't think you've seen my flying.
That's Deaf Beard, y'all.
I need the hyper.
That's Deaf
Give
Beard,
that
y'all.
man a like, comment, definitely
Linked in the
subscribe to that
description.
voice.
Yeah, man. Hit him up.
He's a beast.
All right. So let's see here. We got an Artemis video coming up. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. Here we go.
Ivory King was asking, or Ivory Viking was asking what ND filter you were using.
Oh,
16.
that was an ND16 you saw there. So I film in 4K 30. I lock the shutter at 1/60 or at 160. That's an ND16. The way I achieve it, I run the Ethics ND4 on the lens filter. This is a Hero 7 Black. And then I use the TBS Jello guards to stack. So 4 plus a 4 is a 16, 4 plus an 8 is 32, so on and so forth.
Yeah, links are in the description, guys.
And this is no hyper smooth.
That's nice.
That kind of seemed like it was for a moment.
That's the best. That's the best part about it. I mean, you get your filtering right, and then you have something like KISS behind you. It works.
Just go.
I mean, you'll find that you can do moves that are fast enough that really throws hyper smooth off. It doesn't like to orbit nice. Well, I've found I just turn it off. Forces you to get that smoothness about you.
Yeah, I don't use it.
I think there's some shots where it definitely warrants, some nice
Oh,
long
definitely. And it's
runs,
definitely a
long
look.
sweeps.
If you, it's sort of like real steady. It's
Yeah.
got a look.
I
It's a
hear
tool
it's
in
like
the
that,
in the.
but I worry about destroying lens. Just on the 8s.
Is this person also flying KISS?
This is Artie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man.
Of course.
These two fat twins, that's all we fly. And this is 40-0, Artie?
Yes, this is my first rip outside the house.
So you see
Oh
how
my God. Oh my God. You gave me a heart attack.
that last part and the stuff you see in Austin's video, I think that's the confidence that KISS gives you. That especially with 40-0. You know,
I was like, he's not going for that. He is.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
You trying to put your quad back together?
Ooh.
Oh!
Oh my God.
It's like 3S now.
Oh my God.
Hey, but the frame, the ESCs, everything else was perfectly fine, and the camera still worked for about a week.
That's hey, what do you had the confidence to send it. Chad, I know it's getting pretty late for Al.
Man.
If we can wrap up with those guys. He's joining us from the Netherlands tonight, so it's dark 30 out there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think that's good. We're at almost 2 hours, guys. So,
wow.
Is there anything else we want to showcase? I know I have another Death Bear video, but we could wrap with Alex.
Let's go ahead and wrap with Alex, man.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you guys.
All
so
the
much
questions
for,
have been asked.
for hanging out and just letting us get inside your brains a little bit and seeing kind of what's behind your thoughts and your contributions to the community. And just like, again, just can't thank you enough for making them firmware so buttery and delicious.
Oh, you're welcome, guys. Enjoy it.
Absolutely. Is there any links or anything you want to shout out before you step up?
If I can say what I was doing the year I was missing, so maybe
Yeah,
maybe it would be
Please,
nice.
go ahead.
Because
Absolutely, please.
I had a little dream to have some product on my own for a while, and like a year ago, I was fed up bringing laptop to the field because, well, I do a bit of more fiddling in the field.
Yeah.
So mobile application for me didn't really do the trick because I'm Apple user. So I made myself this. I don't know. You might guys know it,
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
not.
we
But
KKC.
yes, that is a little sucker which actually replace a laptop in the field. Can do KISS, can do TBS, can do FedTech all together. So
Awesome.
what's
Wow.
KISS Fanatic needs?
That's what I need. Where do I find it? That's the question.
To find it, well, you can find it on TBS. You can find it on Flyduino.
Put the
You can
link
find
in,
it on
YouTube.
Impulse RC. Well, I can give you a link from my Facebook group.
Does now, Austin?
Does that come with the 3D printed case on it?
No.
You purchase
Case.
that
It
way?
doesn't come with case. It doesn't come with wires.
Well,
it's
Chad,
just
I need you to-
bare
I need you to take that
board.
for me.
So
Is
who doesn't have a printer now?
Is the case on Thingiverse or is there cases on Thingiverse?
There are like 5 community case created cases on Thingiverse. So
Awesome. We'll try to get some of those links in the description. I'll take a look later for sure.
That would be great.
I'm a 3D printer. I do a lot of the printing for the squad. So
if you need one, you can purchase it from our boy Chad over here.
shameless plug. Hashtag Mad 3D.
So tell me, so can you adjust everything?
Yes.
Within that, or is there anything that you can do on that you can't do in the GUI or?
Only one thing you cannot do from KKC is activate the flight controller. The rest you can everything you can do from it. So there's no limit like Lua has. You can change your receiver time. You can swap the motors. You can configure ESCs from it.
Wow, that's good.
Really?
That's good.
Awesome.
Wow,
You can.
Why don't I have that?
Actually, it replaces also OLED on TBS transmitter. It can be plugged to any USB of TBS system. So you can also configure everything on TBS. Well, and it's just this
At the bar now, after hours.
I love this thing.
No droids allowed.
At the casino. You
That's
damn
sick.
right they're not allowed. We don't
That's
serve
awesome.
that kind here.
Awesome.
Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add, or
No, I think I'm good. So, well, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So,
anybody in the chat there? You got any
Last
questions
minutes.
for Mr. Fedorov?
Last call.
No droids.
These are not the droids
okay.
you're looking for.
no questions.
Well, wicked.
I don't-
Alex, thank you so very much for joining us, man. This was really awesome, and I have to shout out the crew that's here for giving up their Saturday fly time, because this is prime time right here. We just gave up.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We gave up for all y'all. So, guys, thank you very much. As far as rap notes, pay attention to our streams. Artie and I and Vice and the squad are working hard on bringing you guys awesome content. We'll have some giveaways coming up in the coming weeks. Yeah, anything you want to add, Artie?
Also, if you're not on the Discord, jump
Always.
into that Goon Squad Discord. Like I said, we're always around. Somebody will be around to answer your question or just shoot the shit if that's what you want to do. But check us out. We've got a link in the description there. And subscribe to everybody's videos, especially this one. So you can get updates, smash all the things, comment, anything to push us forward, man. We're doing all this stuff for you guys. And yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and thanks again. This was great to the Alexes for just to reach out and say, hey, do you mind talking? And you said yes. And I thought, well, we don't want to keep him too long. We went 2 hours and we all had plenty of
I told you it would take.
That's a good thing. So hopefully this is the first of many. Hopefully we can come back and talk with you guys again in the future about some new things that you've got, and get some other guests from KISS, or I know we've had people from Emu Flight or whatever else you guys are excited about. And I think we should get more community folks that are in the backbone making it happen on here to tell you about it. That's where you're going to learn a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just
the more
drop
you
your
learn about the
ideas,
craft,
anything you want to know,
the better you are.
know.
So
Yeah,
thanks
absolutely.
again. I appreciate you having us.
Yeah, and if anybody watching, if you have ideas for something you would like us to showcase, drop a comment. We'll put it in the queue. So Artie and I and the squad are working hard to bring you guys, good stuff and things you might find useful. So let us know. Much love.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Thanks.
Much love,
Okay,
guys.
bye everyone.
Thank you.